It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Wilkes head women's ice hockey coach, Coach Dave Labaff. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college women's ice hockey?
I started off on the men's side for a year. I actually finished my hockey career and I got asked to come back and coach. So I started there and I met Melissa Lamano, doing some hockey camps, and she took over at SUNY Canton. Like, she just went there to start the program, and Canton's about 10 minutes from my hometown. And I hadn't really spent a lot of time in my hometown leading up to that. So it was nice to go back home, and I took the job, and it was a little bit of a grind. I think I got paid like $3,000 or $4,000 for the year doing that. I was doing some personal training on the side, and I learned a lot from Melissa throughout that year. And I learned that it's better for me to be coaching on the women's side. I think there's a lot less ego. I think that the players are more malleable in terms of what they're willing to learn, and they're a lot less set in their ways. So I owe a lot to Melissa for giving me the opportunity and teaching me a ton during that first year. So I always get asked like what the biggest differences are, and I think that those two things I mentioned are the biggest difference. And I just think seeing what my players are doing now, to me, has been the most rewarding part. And it's a lot less of I'm going to go play in the NHL after this, and a lot more of, oh, I'm going to go work for the Department of Energy and stuff like that, which I think is much more rewarding for me.
What was that experience like for you getting to play for Morrisville State College and getting to play ice hockey?
It was good. Like, I didn't play a lot during my career. We had a tremendous starting goalie, Kalen Relkoff. He actually works with the Calgary Flames now. It was great, and I think for me, what I got the most that I got out of that was that I learned more about the game. Like, obviously when you're sitting on the bench a lot, you're listening and you're watching, and I learned so much during my 4 years there. I think it set me up naturally to become a coach, even though if you would have asked me during any of my time there, I would have said there's no way I'll ever coach hockey. But I met some of my best friends there. One of my best friends actually lives about 7 minutes away from where I'm sitting right now, which is great to have. And I just think the experience itself is something I would never change.
What were some of your college accomplishments on the men's ice hockey side as a player?
Yeah, I didn't have many. None personally. I think our team, we were the first NCAA Division III team to play at Morrisville. They were junior college before that. I think a lot of the success came our last 2 years when we made SUNYAC playoffs. We took SUNY Oswego we took them to overtime to go to the SUNYAC championship game. It was a pretty wild ride for us to be a ragtag bunch the first 2 years. Not a ton of respect given our way to, I think we got as high as maybe like 10th or 11th in the country my last year. And it was, like I said, it was a great group. And, I would still say, if you look back, we definitely weren't the most talented team, but we were definitely the closest team on and off the ice. And I think that's why we were able to accomplish as much as we did.
Of course, what was that feeling like getting to put on that hockey jersey and representing them?
It was amazing. I mean, I think when you're young, everybody naturally thinks that you're going to go to the NHL. And as you get older, you realize that just the opportunity to play college hockey is truly like incredible. I mean, you just think of how much it gets cut down every year. And the first time I put it on was very special. And I remember the last time I took it off, I was sitting in the locker room at SUNY Plattsburgh, and you couldn't believe your career was over and you just didn't want to take it off. So definitely was an experience not many get to have, and something I'll never take for granted.
Coming out of college, what was that experience like getting started in coaching and going to SUNY Canton?
It was great. It was a little unexpected. Like, I had a couple of offers that the coach at Morrisville was working on for me. One fell through last second at a Division I school, And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I think it still would have been great to go there and learn under that coach. And but I got a chance to go and start something new and recruit a whole new team. And just to be given that shot and to kind of have the freedom that I had while I was there was pretty special.
What were some of the things that you learned as the assistant coach to then help you to make that transition to become a head coach in that time?
I think the biggest thing was to learn how to coach women instead of men. I think that's it's very different. Just to be able to kind of read them and hear from Melissa and listen to the way that she spoke to the players. I learned a lot about like playing on the defensive side of the puck from her. She was very big in the defensive zone, and I learned a lot from her there. And I just think the other big thing I learned was like the grind of recruiting. I take pride in how much we recruit and the kind of recruits that we're able to bring in. And I would say I learned a lot of that from Melissa and her mentality on it.
What was that feeling like becoming the next head coach at SUNY Canton after being the assistant coach?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually pretty ready to not coach anymore after my first year. I had got the head intramural job there. I was the assistant director of the fitness center, and then I got asked to coach because Melissa ended up taking off to go to Morrisville. Um, I was admittedly probably not ready to be a head coach at that time. I was still very young, but I was super grateful for it. And I had to learn a lot through those first 4 or 5 years and learn how to build a program on my own and find my own coaching style. And it was great. Like to this day, like I'm so happy that I took it because I was on the fence. I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to do. I was getting full-time pay doing the intramural thing and benefits and all of that. And it was a pay cut to actually become the head coach. And it's something that I've never regretted since I made that decision.
Of course, while at SUNY Canton as head coach, what were some of the things that you were able to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of rebuilding the program. The program ended up kind of in flux when Melissa left, just because when the head coach leaves, usually there's a lot of drop off, and they weren't sure if I was coming back, so we kind of had to rebuild. 2 years into the rebuild, we were one goal away from playing for a conference championship. We won some amazing playoff games. I coached a couple conference players of the year, rookie of the year. A lot of it was just the people that I coached and what they're doing now, and to see how successful all of them are. And I think, one of my former captains is an assistant coach at Union now, and just to see her out on the road recruiting, and just to see all my former assistants who are head coaches, that to me is probably my greatest accomplishments. Is that hopefully I was able to have a positive impact on people to move them on to the next stages of their lives.
While at Canton, being a head coach, what was that like, and how did that help you into making that transition to come to Wilkes?
Yeah, I mean, the program we built at Canton was great. I mean, the facilities were great, so it was very easy to recruit to. My last year, we had a really strong year. We missed playoffs off of like a technicality, you could say. But I was able to create a strong team and probably one of the best Division III women's conferences in the country. So it gave me a lot of confidence that by coming to Wilkes and coming to the private school setting, that I could kind of do the same thing down here. And it's kind of the way it's worked out. My team looks very similar here as it did at Canton in terms of international representation, the pace of play, the kinds of players that we have. So I think it prepared me to move on to a place where I was going to have to recruit academically stronger players, but that was the challenge I was excited for.
Coming to Wilkes, what was that feeling like the first time you got to step onto the ice?
Yeah, it was new, right? I think I posted on my Instagram new colors. It was definitely a change up for me, but it was last year, even though we only won 4 games, I will say it was probably one of my favorite years of coaching. I learned so much. I think it kind of reignited that fire in my heart for coaching and wanting to be a better coach every day. And it was great. Like it was a year that really showed me what Wilkes was going to be capable of through recruiting, through the development of players that we had on the team. And it definitely was a new feeling, but a good feeling.
What was that feeling like the first time you got the win at Wilkes?
I think I was close to having a heart attack after that first win. I think we were up. I want to say we were up like 2-1 with 30 seconds left. I know we were at Newman. It was a pretty special day. We went there. We had a game plan that the team had followed through with. we had just had like a tough start. Like we had just lost to Buff State, and we were close to winning one of those games. And when we went out there, we won the first one, which was great. I was so happy for the team, and I think we had 13 skaters for the game because we had some injuries. And I think one of our defensemen, Abby Barkless, had like close to 40 minutes of ice time in the game. And then, for us to turn around and do it again the next night was, to me, it was even more special to get the first sweep in program history. It was a lot to do with the heart and like the soul of the team that the players showed for both games. But it definitely was a great feeling.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a coach versus for your players?
For me, like we do pregame skates, so we're up early. We get to the rink. The players are out there way before the staff. They're out there shooting, just kind of passing around. Power plays are moving the puck. When we get out there, we're out there for like 20 minutes, right? We do power play, PK, maybe some face-off stuff, and a little bit of flow just to get the goalies feeling the pucks, and then the players are off the class, right? They're off the class. They're making sure they're getting their meals in the right way. For us, it's watching more video, getting anything that we need to get off the printer all set up. I try to go for a couple of walks throughout the day just to clear my mind. When I first started coaching, like nerves were a real thing. It's almost like weird performance anxiety as a coach, but it's for me, it's kind of chilled out now, and it's more of just making sure I'm prepared. I know what I want my talking points to be, and just making sure that the team is in a good spot when they walk through the doors.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've started to build at Wilkes for the women's ice hockey program?
Yeah, I think when I got the job, I was very like gung ho, like I'm going in, I'm changing the culture because we had played Wilkes my last year at SUNY Canton. The games were pretty lopsided. So in my head, I'm thinking this culture needs to change, and I had like almost a 2-hour conversation with my captain, Rachel Morey, and I remember I hung up and I walked up to my wife and I was like, this kid gets it. Like, this is such an impressive culture that they have. And, from that moment on, it wasn't for me, like, how do I change culture? It's like, will they let me into this culture? Because the culture was extremely strong, very mature young ladies who just want to know that they can go out and get it done. And that's really what we've tried to cultivate. Like, I think I throw in my own little bits here and there. We have our core values. But other than that, it's very team driven. And I think that's why we're having success this year, is because nothing is driven by the coaching staff. Everything is driven by the players. And, I think that's why this program will hopefully continue to have success, because the players take ownership over the team, not just us as coaches.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against each week?
Yeah. So right now in the UCHC, we've got two of the strongest teams in the country. So we've got Utica University, who's seventh in the country currently, and then we have Nazareth College, who is 14th. So they're top two in our conference. And then the rest of our conference, it's really close right now. It's great to see. Like last year, there was definitely a gap in terms of what 1 through 8 looked like, and even though there might still be a little bit of a gap, I think it's closing a little bit. I think. We're winning more games. You've got Chatham University winning more games this year. Alvernia, King's College, who's in the same city as us, like they looked great the last time that we played them. They're only getting better right now, and it's a good group. When we move into the MAC, it's all teams from the UCHC that will be branching off. So it's all teams like kind of in the Atlantic region, all throughout Pennsylvania, and then 2 teams in Maryland as well. So it's going to be a good group. And for us, it's nice. You're not on the bus for 7 or 8 hours at a time. Our furthest trip next year will be back to Utica, which is only 3 hours from Wilkes-Barre.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams like Utica come to home versus going away?
It's good. Like we have a pep band. When our pep band is there, I love it. Like I grew up going to Clarkson University hockey games, and they had like a wild pep band. So to me, it's kind of a little bit of nostalgia. Our crowds are getting bigger since we've had more success. I do think our university promotes other teams being at everybody's games, which is great. Like we want to go out and support teams. We want them to come out and support us. I think when you walk in the door of a home game, it's just different, right? Like, our rink, what to expect, when we're at Utica and they've got all the shining lights and the Jumbotron, and, it's a little bit different. It can almost be a little bit intimidating, which why it was awesome when we tied them at the start of the year, because I think as intimidating as that situation might have been with 13 freshmen in the lineup, I thought everybody handled it pretty well.
Of course, what is that home game atmosphere like, and what are some of the traditions that you have helped implement it?
I don't have a lot. The team has their own. To be honest with you, I don't. I try to not interfere with it. I don't go in the locker room too much. I'm in there before the game for a little in between periods. I think what they've had to get used to is kind of my timing on everything. I think, when I got the job, they're like, "Are you coming in?" And I was like, "Yeah, we still have 15 minutes till we're on the ice. I can't talk for 15 minutes." So, they have their own little traditions. Like everyone's playing soccer before the game. They have their own pump up songs. For us on the road, we have to stop at Starbucks before the game, or the world might come to an end, according to the team on that one. But the traditions, I haven't implemented any. I want to make sure that everything is organic, and again, that everything is team driven.
What does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes that are looking to play women's ice hockey?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is identifying talent, which I think it's almost getting easier. I think the girls hockey at the youth level is getting better. I think they're getting better coaches. There's better philosophies coming up through. For us, it's not even the talent, or can they play for us? It's who are they as people. Um, it's something we try to look into as much as we can. Like when we do recruiting visits, we have players on the tour, and they'll give me honest feedback, and it's great. Like I really rely on that honest feedback about the vibes that they were getting, would they fit in with our program. But a lot of it is, you get them to campus, you show them how beautiful our university is, and explain to them what the vision for our program is, and it's up to them if they want to be a part of it. And I'm never bitter if somebody says no. I think it's part of being a coach. It's part of recruiting. You get a lot of no's, and the yeses that you do get, you make sure that they're rewarded for saying yes to our program.
What is it like as a head coach seeing them fall in love with the program and with the school?
It's amazing. Like that's the whole point. I mean, as much as we want to win and we have goals on that side of things, like I want them to enjoy their experience. I want them, to be able to look back on it and say that they contributed to making history in some way, which this year we've been able to do so far. And everybody, regardless of how much playing time they might have had, or whatever the circumstances are, have had a say in that for us. And I think seeing people enjoy their education, get internship opportunities, and really get the outcome that they want after 4 years, I think is what makes coaching special. But especially at Wilkes, it's something that I've really learned to love. It's just, I know that they're going to be set up for success once they walk out of the doors of Wilkes University.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing your freshmen put on that Wilkes ice hockey jersey for the first time?
Panicked to make sure we had all the jerseys in this year. That's for sure. With so many freshmen, we had to order so many new jerseys. But it's great. I think it's definitely a sense of pride when you look out and you see the hard work that the staff put in and the players put in. Recruiting players to get here to, I don't want to say convince them, but to show them that this would be a good place for them to get their education and to follow their hockey dreams. And I know for a lot of them, the first time that they got to put on the jersey meant a lot, and it means a lot to us too.
Of course, as a head coach, what is it like seeing those seniors put it on for the last time and then get to play in professional hockey, whether it's the PWHL?
Um, it's great. At our level, playing pro hockey in North America, it just got harder with the condensation of the leagues. It's gonna be tough, but there's opportunities in Europe. But senior day is always a special day. I think it's a well-earned day that they've sacrificed a lot for 4 years. And even last year I only got to know the seniors for the time that I got there through their last game, and just to see how happy they were to be able to put on that jersey, and then to see the emotions that they had after that game. I think it was something for me that was it's really impactful, and it's something I tell them that everybody that was here and graduated from the program before I got here, when we start accomplishing our goals, they're gonna hear that they were a huge part of helping us do that.
What are some of your future plans at Wilkes for the women's ice hockey program?
I mean, we just want to keep getting better every day. Within our new conference, we want to have an impact. Like our goal is that we can get as close to winning a championship as possible. If not, hopefully someday being able to do that. But it takes a lot of building blocks. It takes a lot of players being on the same page. And that's our goal. Is we just want to get better every day. When the opportunity presents itself to hopefully, play in playoffs and chase down that dream of winning a conference championship, that we're ready. And hopefully we can make it a reality and get to the NCAA tournament.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college women's ice hockey?
Get as fast as you can and get as strong as you can with the summer that you have leading up to it. I think people underestimate the fact that they're going from being the big fish in the small pond to now they're the little guppies in a huge pond. They're playing against fifth years who are 23, 24, and you have to get fast, you have to get strong, and you have to know the game when you get here. And it's something that we really stress, the strength and conditioning side of things, and I think it's benefited us down the stretch. So that would be it. And don't take anything for granted. It goes fast. Like 4 years seems like a long time, but I think if you looked at even our fifth years right now, they would do anything to go back to that first year and start all over again.
What advice would you give those college ice hockey players looking to play professionally, whether it's the PWHL or the PWHPA?
Be realistic. A lot of players think that they're going to just walk in there or they're going to get drafted by one of those teams. There's a lot of strong players out there. And I would also say keep your options open and maybe look into going to Europe. I think there's so many amazing options out there. You can go to any European country. They have a women's hockey league, and you can go out there and really see the world, get some great experience, and make a little bit of money, but then prepare yourself for the next stages in life. And I think there's so much more to life than hockey. And I don't want players who just want to go out and play pro hockey. I want them to get an education and maybe go play pro for a year or two in Europe, but know that they're going to move on to bigger and better things after hockey is done.
What advice would you give those players looking to get into coaching after their playing career?
Do it. I would, as a male coach in women's hockey, I'm the first one to say that there needs to be more strong females entering coaching. And we have a player right now that we're working actively to get her a graduate assistant position somewhere, because I think she'd be a terrific coach, terrific role model. She's got a great hockey mind. And, I want to make sure that more strong females who are great leaders on their teams and love the game continue to get into coaching and continue to get opportunities, because I do think that it's something that's going to be important to the future of the sport.
What advice would you give those future coaches out there that are looking to become head coaches for a women's ice hockey program?
Probably make the jump when you're ready. I know everybody feels ready. You feel invincible when you're young, but learn from as many people as you can. Don't be so interested in just moving up the ranks too fast. Be an assistant coach, learn from people. If you get a head coaching opportunity, make sure it's the right one, and don't just go there and leave, because there's players who are relying on people who are their head coaches, and they'll commit to programs and want them to be there. And I know I left Canton and we had recruits coming in, but I also know I was there for almost 10 years. So I want to make sure that when people do get into the coaching world, they realize that people want to see you there for a little bit of time, and they're not just island hopping.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find the program on social media along with you at?
I would say the biggest one for us is our Instagram at Wilkes WIH, and then my Instagram is at Baffer33, my old COD gamer tag from back in the day. So
thank you again, David Wilkes, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as the head coach at Wilkes for the women's ice hockey program.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach David Labaff, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thanks.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.